We did it. We beat Notre Dame. Fuck Notre Dame. Ohio State didn't play their best game. They didn't look like a championship contender, but you know what? We beat Notre Dame. That is all that matters. Beat those fuckers from up there in Indiana. Fuck them. Nobody cares about them. They can stay irrelevant. Great win. I am still recovering from last night. Had a little too much to drink, but that is okay because the Buckeyes beat Notre Dame. And when the Buckeyes beat Notre Dame, all is well in the world. Michael, sir, what are your thoughts on the game? How was your night watching the game? Let's hear it, buddy. What are your thoughts, man?
Jay, I watched this game, and I don't think I've ever been less passionate watching a big Buckeye game in my life. I'm just going to be honest. I really was emotionally disconnected. I don't know. You said you were drinking a lot, so maybe you don't remember, but, I was texting you and I said, what are your thoughts? And you were, ticked off at the time because Ryan Day had just called a jet sweep on 4th and a foot. And then I kind of texted you back like, hey, we've still got a chance, I was just kind of like, whatever. And I know that maybe sounds bad or it sounds weird, but I kind of took the position, Jay. It was like Notre Dame doesn't beat anybody good. Like for the last 30 years, like if you're a good team, you beat Notre Dame. And so, I mean, like an elite team, let me put it that way. Notre Dame's beat some good teams, but if you're an elite team, like by and large over the last 30 years, like you beat Notre Dame. They lose to elite teams. That's what Notre Dame does. And so I was just kind of like, you know what? If they beat them, maybe they can still be elite. If they lose, I don't know. Maybe this team is kind of what we were concerned about in the first couple of weeks. So I just kind of had like a nothing to lose type of mentality. I just kind of watched it for the first time, maybe ever, as almost like a emotionally detached, what do you call it? Oh gosh, what word am I thinking for? Like, I was just kind of watching it as almost like a third party. Like that's how I felt like watching the game. Like I didn't feel like the passionate Buckeye fan. I felt like I was just almost kind of like observing as a third party, like, let's see how this goes. And obviously I'm glad we won, but it was, it wasn't an overly impressive performance. But when you're playing a top 10 team on the road, like it doesn't really matter. You just got to win the game.
Yes, I agree. But I will say this, before I continue on with anything you just said, everyone make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. I've been missing to say that at the beginning the last couple times, but
yes, please
like and subscribe to the podcast because the more likes we get, the more subscriptions we get, that means that our message, albeit that it's not great today, I just want to apologize. My headphones got jacked up the other day and I cannot find the fucking microphone. So
like and subscribe. You see the little thing going across there.
Going across. I know everyone can see it now. If you're mute or you need subtitles, whatever. We don't have subtitles here. Sorry. Maybe sometime we will. But again, like and subscribe. But yes, Michael. I'm just happy. I am ecstatic with the win. Kind of disappointed in how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
That was not I will say this. Notre Dame didn't do anything that I wasn't really expecting of them. They are who exactly I thought they were. They are a good team. They're not a great team. And you are correct. If there is a team that loses more big games than Ohio State, it is Notre Dame. And then I would probably put Michigan in there too. It's an unfortunate fact that, Midwest teams, they just suck. For the most part, outside of Ohio State in big games.
Oklahoma, throw Oklahoma in there. They kind of get a pass for some reason, but they've lost like as way more big games even than Ohio State.
I will say they haven't been in many big games in the last 3 years, though. Not since their demolition after being demolished by Alabama in the semifinal.
Yeah, well, I just mean they've never won a playoff game. Every time they got the playoff, they lost, and they lost quite a few BCS games during the Stoops era. So that's kind of, I was kind of going like way back because like I'm going way back like to the year 2000 for Notre Dame. If you go back and look at the BCS games for Notre Dame, they lost all of them. They've never won a playoff game. They've never even competed in a playoff game. They lost to Georgia in the regular season a few years ago.
No, both of those games were close. I mean, like, you listen to some of their podcast people, and I try to get a full understanding of like where they stand with their program and stuff. But yeah, they're playing. They battled Georgia back-to-back years, almost won both of the games, just like they almost beat us. They played Alabama. They didn't get totally blown out by Alabama in the the Cotton Bowl game from
I mean Saban played them like similar to Cincinnati, like just kind of like
they were just Alabama posted in that game. I agree.
Yeah, just kind of controlled them.
I'm trying to think. Obviously, they beat Clemson last year, but beating Clemson last year really is not beating Clemson is like the Trevor Lawrence times. No. I know they beat Clemson the year that they had Trevor Lawrence, but they didn't have Trevor Lawrence playing. So there's that.
The Clemson win last year was a nice win for the program. South Carolina win at the end of the season was a solid win for the program. So
but it's not like beating Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State or. I mean, I know they've beaten USC, but USC hasn't, they haven't beaten USC they didn't beat them when like Carroll was there. I don't think they did.
No, they almost did, and then there was the famous Reggie Bush pushing Matt Leinart into the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that 2005 game they had was literally like reminiscent of last night's game. 18 years ago, man, time needs to slow down. Like, what the hell? 2005. I was in high school. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was in college.
Yeah, Jesus, man. Time just needs to slow down.
So, not a great game plan. It didn't seem like on the offense.
Yeah, so again, people, Michael loves that Ohio State won. All is right in the world when we beat Notre Dame. But the problem is, we have higher expectations than just beating Notre Dame here in Scarlet and Gray country. This is the Scarlet and fucking Rage here. Like, Notre Dame is below us. They're a very good program, but they are below Ohio State. Yeah. Make no mistake about it.
Significantly less talented roster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They, they're not on the same level of a program. They don't have the same expectations as a program. Ohio State, we still need to win the Big Ten. We still are in the hunt to, compete or win a national championship. And as great as that win was yesterday, it was not a great performance. And that is not the type of performance that is going to beat Michigan, because Michigan's a better team than Notre Dame. I'll tell you that right now. That is not going to beat a Georgia, or I don't even know if it would have beaten Alabama.
I think Penn State could be a slightly better team than Notre Dame. I mean, probably not a lot better, but I think they could be slightly better. But here's the thing. When is he going to trust Kyle McCord? Hopefully after, this week, maybe he trusts him. He didn't let him do a lot. Frankly, Kyle McCord, Day needs to love conquers all note or whatever it is that Day does, in Kyle McCord's locker on Monday, because Kyle McCord kind of bailed Day out. The chance to win the game was 4th and 2 feet, and Day did what he's done a lot. He made a horrible call in a big part of the game. He called a jet sweep. I thought that was probably the game. I started to say, we're probably not going to get another chance. Defense stepped up. Defense did great. And Kyle McCord, when he had to do it, when Day finally let him off the leash because there was no other option, he showed some grit, and he showed some toughness, and he showed some clutch attributes there. So I'll give McCord some credit for, that final drive. That was a nice job.
Absolutely. Cannot disagree. I will say this. McCord is not he's not CJ Stroud, but he's more clutch than CJ Stroud. He's tougher than CJ Stroud. Go ahead. Stroud can throw the hell out of the ball, but man, McCord, man, oh man, hats off to you, sir. I mean, the play calling was shaky and it didn't make sense a lot of times, like who they were trying to force the ball to and the play calling at times. But he delivered when we needed him the most on that last drive, man. Just hats off to Kyle, beast. He can sling it for sure. He doesn't throw as well as Stroud, or he probably, and I don't know, he probably throws about the same as Fields. Fields wasn't a great passer, but he's just,
No,
a great college football player. He sucks in the NFL, and I called that one. But
seems that way.
yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, Fields is never going to make it in the NFL. He's not, I don't think he's number one. I don't think he's intelligent enough as a quarterback.
Yeah.
But that's not really the discussion here. It seems like
Yeah.
most Ohio State quarterbacks fail in the NFL, but maybe Kyle McCord can develop well enough and be a solid NFL quarterback. I don't know.
I made this point on a message board, and a few people got real mad at me. And like, I don't understand. Like, it's just a fact. Like, it's not a matter of like, making all of these excuses, or there's all of these different factors or whatever. Sure, there's always different variables to things, but I just simply stated that Kyle McCord in 4 games has now done what CJ Stroud never did in 2 years. And that is that in a close game against a good team, he made the plays to win the game. And for CJ, I mean, he didn't have great defenses, and I get that he didn't have help and all of that, but the fact still remains, CJ never did that. Kyle now has done it. So I am already starting to be more I'm a Kyle McCord fan maybe than I was a CJ fan.
Yeah, well, CJ, in his first year against Oregon, I could tell, like, we had the defense was horrible in that game.
But there were moments that he could have made plays.
And he did make plays, but what I wanted to say is, at the end of the game, we got the ball 2 times in a row with a chance to tie. We did not do it. And I could sense it. And I called it, and I was sitting inside that stadium. I'm like, there is no way we are going to go down and score right now. The pressure's too big. It just doesn't feel right. And they did it. They didn't do it against Michigan later that year, because there were a couple times we could have really cut into the lead, and they failed. Yeah, and those are the 2 games that stick out. I mean, Michigan last year was a total blowout, and 2023 or 2022 against Georgia. I mean, I don't know. He did play his best game of his career then, so it's hard to really knock him.
I know. And I mean, maybe we can blame that one on Day, that he gets all the way down there and maybe the play calling was bad, but still didn't get it done. I mean, a great game, but still didn't get the win. And so I don't know. CJ's got a whole NFL career to see if he can figure that out, last minute heroics. The great quarterbacks do. The less than great quarterbacks don't. And so I was impressed with Kyle's grittiness. I was impressed with his toughness. I was impressed with the fact that what I grew tired with there, and the reason that I'm not that big of a CJ fan, he was a great player, a lot of talent. I'm not taking any of that away from him. I'm just saying the reason why I wasn't that big of a fan is when the call came in, say it's 3rd and 3 or whatever, 4th and 3, and when the play didn't go as scripted, most of CJ's career, you might as well just go ahead and get off the field because he wasn't going to convert. Like, whereas I saw with McCord last night, it's a small thing, but even at one time, like he was, the play clearly didn't go as scripted. He was sacked. So it seemed he was able to fight, wiggle out, and gain like 3 yards. And that's not that big of a deal because it was like 2nd and 10 or something. But those are the kind of things that I never saw CJ do. And when it's 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3, those are the kind of things that are the difference between winning and losing games. So I'll just kind of wrap it up with a bow right there on Kyle McCord. I was happy with what I saw out of him. He's not a superstar. He's not amazing, but maybe he's going to end up being a guy who's got some of those things that don't necessarily quantify in just pure talent.
Intangibles.
Yeah.
Intangibles. Yes, I believe he has them. Yeah, can't really say much more than that. Kyle, hats off to you, sir. You saved our season. and you saved us an embarrassing loss to Notre Dame. And yeah, by like the national perspective, it would not have been an embarrassing loss, but it would have been an embarrassing loss for me. I hate Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Most people hate Notre Dame. Nobody likes them except their fans.
Mhm.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Sam Hartman, exactly what I said before. He's a solid, good. Actually, he's probably a good college quarterback, but he has a weak arm. He
Yeah.
does. He couldn't
Yeah.
push the ball downfield versus Ohio State. I don't know if they really attempted any deep throws. Maybe they didn't trust their receivers enough in that kind of coverage. I believe our corners played a great game and locked them down outside of the one pass where
Mhm.
Igmanosin slipped. And they did go after him a little bit, but it's not like he gave up a lot. But I mean, hats off to our pass defense. It's great to have one this year. Not so sure about our run defense, but
So as far as our defense, how much better? I mean, they held up well. They did good. Can't complain. I mean, they top 10 team on the road and they give up 14 points. How much better do you think Michigan's offense is than Notre Dame's? Do you think they're like a half step better? Do you think they're like a full step better? Like what do you think?
well, if I were to break it down, I think Notre Dame has the better quarterback and offensive line. Michigan has the better running backs and receivers. So I would say their offenses, well, maybe they are similar teams. Here's the thing with Michigan, though. They see that Ohio State's run defense is a little shaky, and it will be ran on in the fourth quarter. Michigan won't stop running. Notre Dame kind of, went away from their power run a little bit,
Yeah.
like at times, which I found, thank God they did, because we were having trouble stopping them. And I'll tell you exactly why we had trouble stopping them here in a moment. But Michigan won't. They'll do just like 2021, and they will just ram that ball down Ohio State's throat until Ohio State can show that they can stop them. They won't stop. That is the problem. Harbaugh is a much better coach than Marcus Freeman. Jim Harbaugh is the best coach in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman. Did he lose the game? I mean, he came out.
No,
He
no.
came out. He came out at halftime and he said, he had that spiel that, 4th and 1, we're going for it every time, and then they get 4th and 1.
I respect it. I respect that by him.
I do too. I do too. But it ended up turning into an Ohio State touchdown, and so I don't have a problem with that. Like, whatever, you're going to go for it. You're going for the win. 10 men on the field the last 2 plays. That's not a very good look for old Mr. Freeman.
No, that is, I completely agree. That is a really bad look for Notre Dame. Along those lines, though, I know you were just kind of saying, did Marcus Freeman lose the game? And I've listened to some podcasts by Notre Dame, and most of their podcasters agree with me here. But I've listened to their fans on some call-in shows today, and I've kind of looked around the message boards and stuff, and I've been hearing that Notre Dame might have given the game away or outplayed Ohio State. No, they didn't, you stupid motherfuckers. You did not outplay Ohio State. Ohio State outgained you in total yardage, by the way, and honestly had the better quarterback in the game because McCord did outplay Hartman. And we had the best player in the game. And the best player in that game that we haven't talked about yet was Emeka Egbuka for either team. He was the difference. Notre Dame couldn't cover him. They had he was getting open all night. He did drop a touchdown, which, would have given us a bigger lead. He dropped it. Now, granted, they missed a field goal, though, too. So a little bit of an offset there. But, yeah, you stupid motherfuckers did not outplay us. And that's, you did not. We went into your house and beat you at home at night. You did not outplay us. I mean, really.
No, I don't think there's an argument that Ohio State got outplayed. I think you could make obviously an argument. Well, maybe
that's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to say.
Well,
but the legitimate fact is that Ohio State did not get outplayed last night. If anything, they were they played pretty evenly throughout the game, and Ohio State made the most clutch plays. That was the difference. Thank God. We finally made some clutch plays in a big game. Thank fucking God. It's only been like 3 years since we've done that.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line, they lost, and so I mean that's really all that matters. You can argue, you can try and make yourself feel better and say we outplayed them. They played tough. They played good. I think that, I think that if Ohio State executes a well-crafted offensive game plan that's a little bit more aggressive, I think that Ohio State is 2 touchdowns better than Notre Dame, even on the road. So I think you can make the argument that Notre Dame played a good game. I don't think you can make the argument that they outplayed Ohio State. I think
No, they did not outplay Ohio State. And as a matter of fact, I think they probably threw everything they possibly could at Ohio State. They really did. I mean, outside of throwing deep and stuff, but I'd have to look at the film. Sneak preview for next week. We might be bringing in a head coach to break down the film, but it's not confirmed yet. We'll see on this game and hopefully the other big games, Penn State and Michigan as well. But I would need to see the film and what maybe the receivers were really blanketed and that's why they couldn't do it. Maybe Hartman didn't trust them. Maybe Hartman just doesn't have a strong enough arm to do that against tighter coverage. I don't know. I'd have to look at the film.
Well, I think we nailed it. You know, that last week we said Sam Hartman is not an elite quarterback. And
if you were an elite quarterback, he wouldn't be in college for 6 years. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah. And so we saw that he's not an elite quarterback. Now, that being said, what do you think about? There's arguments on both sides of this. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. I don't really care about it that much. But do you think it was a good look, a good idea, a good way to present yourself after the game for Ryan Day to aggressively go after senile Lou Holtz? Or do you think that maybe Day should have channeled his his excitement elsewhere?
Oh man, I knew you were setting that up, and I knew that people would bring it up. And I swear to God, Ryan Day is being trash talked so much by the college football world right now for those comments. But you know what? I'm mixed on it. I can see where they're coming from there, and a lot of what Lou Holtz said was true. Now he didn't say anything that was false.
Lou Holtz was really close to like nailing it. Like he was dangerously close to nailing it.
No, I think he kind of did nail it. I mean, I don't think Georgia didn't out physical Ohio State though, but Michigan did and Oregon did, or Georgia did. Georgia just beat us because, frankly, Ohio State choked. But that's not here nor there. But yeah, no, I think Lou Holtz is on point, and I know that Ryan Day gets those. I'm sure people like he listens to the media. He knows what they're saying about him. He knows what they're calling about the program, and there is some there is some evidence there that he is a soft coach and stuff. And sometimes when you have that, how you kind of know there are fake tough guys out there that like beat their chest and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass and I'm like the biggest badass and whatever the fuck ever, that kind of stuff. And they're soft as fuck, they can't fight, or they're actually not that tough, but they're just trying to offset, or like trying to back you down for all of that. There is some evidence there to support like he was just he had to do that to make himself like, I don't know, so he's not lying to himself anymore. I don't know, just trying to offset that narrative that he's a soft coach. Like he did that. But at the same time, you know what, Ryan Day, more power to you, man. Screw it. I'm looking at this from both sides here. I'm kind of in the middle, and that's the way I'm playing it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? He hasn't really shown a lot of emotion and this, that, and the other. So it's great for him to show emotion. Now, do I legitimately think he sounded like a tough guy during that? No, I don't. But that's okay. As long as he feels like he truly like feels good about himself and can like do better in the future in big games, more power to you, man. I don't know.
I didn't love it. I didn't love it. Like, where's Lou Holtz? Where's Lou Holtz?
Yeah.
Like, because, Lou Holtz is, he's like in his upper 80s, and he's kind of like starting to go towards the, not exactly what he once was in his mental faculties. I mean, he's not the sharpest anymore. And so I think that Day should have said, people have said we're not a tough program. It's been said over the last couple of years, and we've lost some games. But guess what? This team is a tough program. This team's going to take it to you, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't think it was like that. I thought it made him look less tough to bring a defenseless old man into it and like, where you at, Lou? So that's kind of my take on it.
You know what, man? If Lou Holtz is like sentient enough to get on national TV and do that, then you know what? He's up for the criticism too. So I see your side of the argument, but at the same time, he's sentient enough to still go on TV and say all of that. I don't think he was removed from ESPN for losing mental faculties. I think they just took him off I have no idea why, but I tell you what, that was like the best college show there ever was. Him and Mark May, that College Game Day final. That was the best college football show, and they took it from us, and it pisses me off. But ESPN sucks. Stupid communist network, left-wing bullshit.
I don't think he's like totally gone. I don't think he's like in full-blown dementia. I think he's just not quite as sharp. It's starting to dull for Lou. It's not real sharp anymore.
I don't know anything about his personal life right now. I did see that interview. It was a clip, so I didn't see the rest of the interview. I haven't heard him really speak in a while. I've never met him in person, so I don't really know. I can't speak to his mental.
Here's the other thing. It was a very personal thing to Ryan Day because Lou Holtz has been very complimentary of Ohio State through the years. And in fact, he often took up for Ohio State and challenged Mark May. Because, we all know Mark May was like the biggest Ohio State hater
I know
that has ever been in the media. It's like
Trev Alberts was up there too, if you remember.
Yeah, but it got so ridiculous with Mark May that like he knew he was an Ohio State hater. Like that's just the role he played. I think he truly hated Ohio State, but it got to the point that like even he just embraced almost like WWF, like this is my character. I'm the Ohio State hater. But Lou was often defended Ohio State, and Lou's like he's got Notre Dame's his first love. I get it, but Lou's got Buckeye, down in there too. He won in Ohio State with Woody Harrelson. So I think Lou honestly just felt
Woody Hayes.
Yeah, Woody Hayes.
Woody Harrelson, the actor.
My mom and dad went to high school with Woody Harrelson. So Woody Hayes. He won a national championship with Woody Hayes. So I think that he honestly just felt. I think that's how he felt. I think he felt that Ohio State had gone soft under Ryan Day. And so, Ryan Day answered it. Fine, good, great, whatever. But, maybe
it was like some elaborate plan by Lou Holtz to be like, hey, Ryan, you're failing Ohio State, buddy. You need to do better.
Maybe.
And if he did, hopefully this is the way to like waken Ryan up. Maybe Ryan's like, I am running a soft program. They still struggled yesterday on like 3rd and shorts a couple times. They still couldn't run the ball. They were able to run the ball at the end there on 4th down because Notre Dame had 10 men on the field, but and they barely got in. Like, looking at that on replay,
it was
like this much, man. It wasn't much.
It was inches.
Yeah. It was like the length of the football. I wouldn't say inch, but he got in.
Now,
so yeah.
Do you think this changes Ryan Day? Like this is the first big game. Now, of course, Ryan Day has beat Penn State, who's been a good team before. I think he's got a top 10 win against Michigan State. He actually has a top 10 win against Indiana. That's not really a top 10 win to brag about. That was the 2020 year.
But top 10 teams, he's been fine, I guess. It's the top 5. He still struggles. And as big of a win this was for Ryan.
Yeah.
Still 2-5 against teams in the top 5.
But still, even in the top 10 games, he's always either like Oregon, who wasn't a top 10 team, he just got beat, or he's won to where it wasn't going down to the wire. Do you think this changes him? Do you think this galvanizes him? Do you think this is a moment for this team like 2014 Penn State when they go on the road and beat a Penn State team that isn't a world beater? That Penn State team wasn't as good as this Notre Dame team, but they beat them in a close game, and it kind of like galvanized that team. Do you think this is one of those moments, or do you think that this changes Day in any way?
I mean, that would be great. I just don't know if they have the coaching to actually completely have a culture change. I mean, if you're going to be
Mm.
good at running the ball, you really need to be practicing and drilling, in summer camp and spring football, more power run and take on that mentality and this, that, and the other. So I don't know if you can just completely change from a scheme standpoint to be, but maybe
Well, I mean, do you think this gives him an edge? Do you think this helps him to overcome those problems, for lack of a better word, that he's had in big games and whatever it is internally that he struggles with, how he outthinks himself, how he outcoaches himself. If it's 4th and 2 feet, let's run a jet sweep wide. Do you think that this does something on the inside of Ryan Day that causes him to be a different coach going forward? Whether the next big pressure cooker moment is Penn State, or whether it's Michigan, or whether it's in the semifinals of the playoffs.
I honestly don't know, but let's hope so. I don't know if this is it. I would like to believe it will. I would like to believe it, but just not. I don't think there's. I don't know. There's enough to make a real call on that. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
The Ryan Day stock, you got 3 options. You got buy, sell, or hold. I'm going to go with hold. I'm not ready to buy more. I'm not ready to sell. I'm going to go with hold.
Okay.
If he loses that game yesterday,
Oh boy.
I'm probably trending very strong towards sell. I'm
Oh
probably,
man, dude. I gotta be honest. He loses that game yesterday. I would have been on the fire Ryan Day bandwagon because that losing enough big games, enough is enough, man. And a
yeah.
lot of people were saying the same thing. Like it was just, but that last drive saved him. It did. It changed things.
You know what's funny is people on Ohio State message boards after that 4th and 1 jet sweep. Some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
some of the most passionate, ardent staunch Ryan Day supporters were posting things like, I'm done supporting Ryan Day. I'm done defending Ryan Day. So
yeah. No, again. So
this was a
so
really
there's
big win. This was a
Ohio
really big
State.
win for him.
Yeah, so yeah, it is no. Don't get me wrong. This is a big win. It was not a big performance, like I said before. There were a lot of problems with this team yesterday.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess I'll break. Yeah. So again, biggest problem number one, we still can't run the ball on short. 3rd and short, 4th and short. We can't do it. We just can't. Can't do it.
Just throw this in there real quick. Trey, nice burst by Trey. It was pretty sweet. The big run Trey
Yeah,
had.
but it wasn't like a third. It wasn't like a 3rd or 4th and short.
No,
Situation.
it has
It was
nothing to
like
do
a
with that.
2nd and 10.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally different scenario. I'm just
right.
saying, nice burst, and he took off and hit the Jets and went. So that was
Mhm.
good. It's good to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he, had that great run, but outside of that run, I think he had like 20 carries for like 50 yards or something like that. It's not very
What
good.
were his total stats? Did he have over 100?
Yeah, he did. I mean,
Yeah.
like with that run, he outplayed all of Notre Dame's running backs. That's for sure. He's
Mhm.
more talented than anybody they have.
Mhm.
And strange, yeah, give him props, man. I guess before we talk about some things, along the lines of Travion Henderson, I've been his biggest critic. I don't, I'm not. He still doesn't read like the running lanes particularly well, but you know, he is talented. I mean, I didn't think he was like a true home run hitter, but he outran all of Notre Dame's guys yesterday.
Mhm.
Notre Dame's defense is not slow. They are not. They have some fast players.
So can't run on 3rd and 4th and short. Okay. What else
Well, all right.
are
So,
you concerned about?
and this kind of goes along with like, not just being able to, stop the run on 3rd and 4th and short, but at the end of the game, and I'll tell you why this is happening, but we were starting to really get run on. And our run defense is, problematic. I said that last week. I'm like,
Mhm.
Notre Dame is going to, I didn't say they were going to run. I didn't say them specifically, but I was a little concerned about our run defense, even showing against Western Kentucky some. But the biggest reason why is we did not rotate at all at defensive end. So both starters, I don't know if both starters played the entire game, didn't have any snaps off. And when those guys weren't giving us anything from a pass rush perspective, Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, Mitchell Melton, these guys need to be playing. You saw how much they flashed the last couple of weeks. I can't imagine those players are very happy. Unfortunately, games like this show you who is legitimately going to be playing, and I expect it to be the same against Penn State and Michigan. So don't be surprised when we get to those games. Our defensive line is starting to get worn down. I think even at defensive tackle, I saw Ty Leak and Ty Hamilton and Michael Hall. That was it. I think that was it from them too. Like we didn't.
Malone didn't get in.
I do not believe he did. I'm going to actually, since we're like looking into this, man, like that is really concerning. Larry Johnson's always been somebody who's played a solid rotation, and I do believe our defense has gotten a lot better, twice as good as last year. But if you're not going to play anybody on the freaking defensive line, you're going to get run on by anyone. Like, what in the hell?
So Larry's biggest criticism the last several years has been his over rotation and his kind of philosophy of how he gets guys too few of snaps over the course of a season. And it's like, what is it like an overcorrection here? I mean, you would think that there's at least between the ends and tackles, like there's a small handful of guys that you can get in there and get 15, 18 snaps to keep the other guys fresher and just put them in there, and say, hey, 15 snaps a game, go in there and give them hell. Everything you got, 100% full go. But I don't know. We go from over rotation to.
There needs to be a middle ground,
yeah.
Michael. There needs to be a middle ground. Yes, you are absolutely right, but there needs to be a middle ground. You need to be playing more players than that. They only played 5 guys along the defensive line the entire game. You need to be playing 7 or 8, and the best players should be playing them in the majority of those snaps. You don't need to be playing 9 or 10, but you should be playing 7 or 8. And for those guys to go the entire game like that, you're not only one, you're going to have them hurt by the end of the year, but number 2, you're just going to get absolutely bulldozed in the running game against the better team. So let's be hyper aware of this. Like, it is a thing. Like, now that we've seen Ohio State coach in a big game, this is probably the way it's going to be. Also, I did say last week along the same lines, pay attention to Davison Igbinosun. He's a good corner, but teams are looking at him and they will pick on him. And he was the guy that Notre Dame was going after the most. Just, that's not shocking. Just watch him in coverage. He's solid, and he's a lot better. And, if you're going to have him as your weak link, then great, because that's awesome. But still, like, they're going to be throwing at him. They're not throwing at Denzel Burke. They're not really throwing at Jordan Hancock either.
So do you think, other than 3rd and short, 4th and short running, or 3rd and short, 4th and short offensive plays, issues there, maybe some, mild concerns in the run defense? Is there anything else?
I would say I would be majorly concerned with the run defense. Not super, I wouldn't be mildly. I would not be concerned at all if we actually rotated people, but since we don't rotate people, I am going to be super concerned, because as time goes on, it's only going to get worse. These guys are going to get worn down, like I said. The run defense is going to get worse. Even playing against teams like Rutgers and stuff, if those guys are playing the majority of the snaps, they're going to get worn down. It's going to happen.
So any other problems outside of that you can think of? I mean,
I was surprised that our receivers didn't get as much separation if I would have liked. I mean, Marvin Harrison was kind of blanketed. Now, granted, they were double covering him a lot, and just, I don't know, maybe the timing was off of McCord. I mean, Magbuka had no problems getting open. He was mostly going against their slot corner. He was avoiding, I think, what is his name? Cam Hart, and who's their ace corner? Forget his name.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe
he's a player, though. Notre Dame's number 1 corner he's a dude.
Maybe Harrison sucking up attention and leaving it open for Ibuka and seems like Kyle McCord really loves going after the tight end. Seems like that's a target he really favors more than any quarterback in recent OSU memory.
Benjamin Morrison was a Notre Dame player's name, and no, I mean he's developed a nice chemistry with Cade Stover. At least I don't know if it's like all the tight ends, but he's definitely developed a connection with Cade Stover for sure. He's definitely a safety blanket there. Yeah, Ibuka is as well. I think he would have liked to throw into Marvin Moore, but he was really blanketed. But I don't know. Maybe a little more deep throws from Ohio State the entire game. I know we tried to go deep like twice, maybe the entire game, which is not bad, but it's not ideal. I would have tried to at least try to push it over the top more. Maybe put in Jaden Ballard and try and stretch out the defense. I don't know. Yeah, I mean McCord threw for 240 yards, which is not bad. It's not the best. It's not what Ohio State's accustomed to, but Sam Hartman only threw for 175.
I'll give Day credit. At the end of the game, as much as I thought that the jet sweep on 4th and 2 feet was an asinine call, I will give Day credit when it's 1st and goal from the 1. You know what I said? I said, go to the playbook, get your 2 passing plays that you think can work and call them. And so that's what I was thinking. And so clearly you cannot run the ball right there because you don't have any timeouts. So first one is a pass. Didn't work, whatever. Then he goes with the run. And obviously it works.
That was sneaky, man.
I'll give him credit for that. I was thinking, pass. That was my thought there. You got to pass on the first down because you don't have a timeout. But then, second play, like that's pretty much it. Either way, you get it through the pass, or you get it on the ground, or you're not going to get it because time's going to run out. So he thought the best way to get it was through the ground, and this time it worked out for him. So I give him credit for that. That was a little bit of a gutsy call.
Supposedly Ohio State saw that Notre Dame only had 10 men on the field. I think Notre Dame knew it too, but supposedly Ohio State did actually run to the vacated spot where Notre Dame is supposed to have like a defensive end there or something. That's the spot they exactly ran to, and they still barely got it in.
We
Can
didn't.
you imagine if we would have not made that? With Notre Dame having 10 men on the field, we would have never heard the end of it from them. And again, Ryan Day, he would be on his way to being fired. He would. You can't run the ball against a team with only 10 men. Like, when are you going to be able to run the ball, buddy? When are you going to win one of these games? Like, he would have never heard the end of it for the end of his life, probably.
Jay, you see up in the corner the little square of Jim Tressel.
I do.
I know he's one of your favorites. I like JT. I think you like him more than I do. You're a big JT fan.
I was a Jim Tressel fan. Very conservative, but I liked him a lot.
He's holding the crystal ball. 2002. Nobody thought they could do it. Beats the super team. There's no super team this year. But do you think Ryan Day can hold that? Well, there's no crystal ball anymore. But do you think he can hold that playoff trophy? Do you think Ohio State can cap it off with bookends the first year of the college football playoff? 2014, Urban Meyer does what nobody thought they could do. Third string quarterback, amazing win. And then 2023, the final year of the college football playoff as we know it. Can Ryan Day bookend with another national championship? And while you think and answer on that question, I'm going to go right around the corner and get my charger because my computer is just about to go dead. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that.
Do you want me to wait, or do you want me to just answer?
Talk about something in the meantime, and then I'll be back in like 30 seconds, and then I want to hear your answer.
All right. Well, everyone, I can't really answer that question yet, but let's wait for Michael to get back here. But man, just a big win. just a big win, though. I mean, we're obviously we're the Scarlet and Rage. We have to talk about the subjects people aren't really wanting to talk about. You know this. We know this. That's why we're here for you. We're giving you a fresh perspective, a different perspective. But I just can't reiterate enough how excited I was as a fan to win that game. I mean, again, it was painful to watch at times, and like it was a lot of anxiety during watching the game, but just still so happy. But Michael, to answer your question, now that you're back, I think we can bookend, but we're going to have to make major improvements in the areas that I just said. If we don't, we won't. The team yesterday will not. They need to improve a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. They're not there yet. From a run defense or a running or in total offense and a run defense, we are not there. Everywhere else, I believe we're champion. I mean, our pass defense is championship caliber. Wish we'd have had it last year. But yeah, we don't have it right now. Maybe McCord gets better from this. They need to trust him more. Yeah, I just as of right now, I would say no, but they can. They have the talent to. We know that. But they need to improve in those areas. And it's going to start off. I don't know how they fix the run game. Hopefully, on our coach's film room next week, we can maybe discuss that some. But they need to play more people on the defensive line. They have a couple big 300-pounders, and they're not playing. You have Tywone Malone, Hero Canoe. Why are these guys not playing on the defensive tackle spot? They would help a lot in the run game. We've seen what Hero Canoe can do. He is a big, big boy, very powerful. Same with Tywone Malone. These guys need to be getting some burn, man. Play them. We need more beef up front. Tyleek is big guy, but Ty Hamilton is a little undersized, and Michael Hall's very undersized. Michael Hall's not a big run stuffer. He's more of like a pass rusher.
I would say this is a good year for Ryan Day to do it because he's going to have to coach it up. Like you said, there's some areas that have to improve. There's some areas that have to tighten up, but teams can get a lot better from week 4 to the playoffs. So you've got Maryland. Who they have after Maryland?
Who do we have after Maryland?
5.
I tell you what, speaking of Maryland, man, that is going to be a tough game. Maryland's a good team. They're sneaky good. They're sneaky good. Like, it turns out that Charlotte 49ers around here are not a terrible football team. Like Maryland struggled with them some, but they handled them. That team gave Florida all they wanted yesterday, and Florida's not a bad team. So what does that tell you about Maryland? Maryland's probably better than Florida using the transitive property. Oh, we play at Purdue, so that's a sleepwalker.
All right, so you've got Maryland, you've got Purdue, then you've got Penn State. Then obviously you got a big one in Madison in there. Then you've got nothing else that's really too compelling, and then you've got Michigan. So you've got a lot of things. You can get a lot better between now and Michigan. Then you've got to win.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State is a big game. I don't anticipate it being a night game because I believe it will be a big noon kickoff event, number one. College game day. I don't believe college game day goes to Big Ten teams anymore. Did you know that?
Well, I mean, they don't have any Big Ten contracts. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're going to go to that's why they kind of went out to Colorado last week and stuff. Yeah, I don't think they have anything with the Big Ten anymore. So none of the Big Ten teams are on their or on any of the ESPN channels. And good riddance. I don't want them on the ESPN channels. ESPN sucks, man. They're a terrible network run by the worst people, and they have a terrible political agenda. It's out there.
It is, and so I'm glad they're gone from that too. But
yeah, fuck ESPN, man. I would never watch it if there weren't like live sports on there. But then maybe I should just bootleg everything and never give them the ratings anyway.
Yeah. But I think this is the year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we need to improve a lot. And, Penn State at home is going to be
There's no great team, Jay. There's no great team. There's no great team right now. Florida State
is damn good. No, Florida State's not a great team.
Not a great team.
Clemson choked yesterday, man. They should have won. I actually picked Clemson to win that game, and they lost.
So
I
far,
would say the
Georgia's
best team.
not a great team.
Georgia will be good though. Let's be real. And I
They
would
will.
still say don't sleep on Alabama because if they start to figure out with Milrow, I mean Texas is really good. I would say, yeah, and looking out there in college football, I would say the best teams are. I mean, you kind of have to put Ohio State there. I mean, not that I really think that they are, but they do have probably the second best win on the season
Mhm.
outside of Texas going to Alabama. But
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Florida State, LSU, but I mean, they're right there. They've got one of
no,
the
not
best.
LSU. Not LSU. They barely beat Arkansas at home. Yes, no, 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 no. They're not there. They got blown out week one by Florida State. No, LSU's not there. I would just say it's probably Texas, um, Washington. I would put Washington there. Maybe Oregon. Maybe I don't know. What
Mhm,
I mean, they really struggle with Texas Tech, so I don't know.
mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know if I put Oregon there. I would put Washington, Texas, Ohio State, and let me see here. I would honestly, I might still put Alabama. I think Alabama would probably beat Georgia. Honestly, I might put Alabama over Georgia.
It would be the worst case scenario for Alabama to beat Georgia because then two SEC teams are going to get in. If
Mm,
Alabama runs the table, Georgia runs the table, they meet in the SEC championship, and Alabama wins, it's very possible two SEC teams get in. It's not like guaranteed, but you've got a good chance if they're going to do that because Georgia's two-time defending champ. If Alabama is 11-1 and beats them, you've got a good chance that they're going to occupy two spots.
I don't. I mean, teams would have to lose. I know the Pac-10 will. Pac-10's going to get somebody this year. They're the best conference. They're not getting left out this year. If
Mm,
Texas goes undefeated, they're getting in. The Big Ten champion, as long as they don't have like two losses, they're getting in. So those
mm.
are three spots right there. And then there's the SEC champion. So I don't actually see the SEC getting two teams in. I do not. So if Georgia goes undefeated and loses the SEC championship game, they're out. They're out.
Yeah, I mean, assuming Florida State can hold on, assuming Texas can hold on, yes. But
Yeah.
if one of those two faltered, it would certainly open the door for a second
What did
SEC
I
team.
said Washington, Texas. I actually was already excluding Florida State in that scenario. I actually don't think. I think Florida State's going to get knocked off by somebody because I don't think they're a great team. They're a very good team, but they're not a great team. I'm putting, like just thinking, like, Washington. They're probably going to lose a game, but I still think they're the Pac-10's best team. Washington, a Big Ten team. Can't say Ohio State. We don't know for sure yet. Washington, a Big Ten team. You know, if it's Oklahoma or Texas in the Big 12, it will be one of them. They're not getting left out. And then an SEC team. One.
I am going to jump ahead for a minute, Jay, as we begin to land this plane. I'm going to jump ahead to Ann Arbor.
Oh man, it's a
And
long way away, dude. We have a
it's
long time
very
away.
it's
We
a
have some
very
games. Maryland's coming up. They're coming up.
it's a very long way away. But I'm just coming with this type of win, playing a Michigan type team, and having that type of game. An 11-0 Ohio State and an 11-0 Michigan. Oh my goodness! At Ann Arbor. Whew. I'm telling you, I still am not there with Ryan Day that I feel like, yes, we are going to go in there and take it all. I'm
No, I'm not there either. And again, yesterday's performance doesn't beat Michigan. It doesn't. It does not
Mhm,
beat Michigan because Michigan's better coach than Notre Dame. I wouldn't say they're
mhm,
more talented than Notre Dame, but they're a better team than Notre Dame because they have Harbaugh and Notre Dame doesn't. And again,
mhm.
in my opinion, Harbaugh is the best coach in the Big Ten. I do honestly believe that.
Hmm. Well, do you have anything else to add to go over here?
Well, I wanted to say that um, I want to say this. I want to say again, fuck Notre Dame. Fuck them. Most times I am respectful after winning, but not here. I really have no respect for that program or that team or fan base. They are a bunch of weird narcissistic fucks, all of them. All of them. Go watch their documentary that they made about their team from 2015. They are a bunch of fucking weirdos. Their players are a bunch of freaking weirdos. The stuff they did behind the scenes, it was just weird. It was cringy. Um, Supposedly they, they treat the press terribly. And, I was like looking into that. They were showing like some of the Ohio State reporters there, and it was just, bad conditions, and they don't give them a lot of time to do their jobs and just treat them like crap. They had that mentally sick player in Manti Te'o.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck? Like, dude, like he was on their team.
I
have
don't
they have that fake academic status about their players, and it's just fake. They're not academically superior to anyone, or else they wouldn't be fielding a great team. Now, somebody like Duke or Northwestern, those teams are like traditionally like academically higher. Maybe Duke's lowered their standards some because now they have a quality football team. Don't sleep on Duke upsetting Notre Dame.
Speaking of Duke,
don't sleep on them upsetting Notre Dame next week, because Notre Dame threw everything they had at Ohio State, and it's going to be tough for them to rebound. And then lastly, South Bend is, I've talked to somebody vividly about this. He's went there for work. South Bend is a shithole. It is a shithole, and it's been run into the ground by left-wing politics. I mean, fucking Pete Buttigieg was their mayor. Who in the fuck elects that guy? What does that say about their communist little town? So fuck Notre Dame. Fuck them. I'm glad to be done playing them, and we're 6-2 against them. Maybe in another 100 years they'll beat us. So fuck them. Done with them.
I don't respect Notre Dame.
They're my most hated team, man.
I don't respect Notre Dame.
I want to make that clear. I do not mix my words. I absolutely despise everything about them.
Yeah, no, I don't respect Notre Dame.
Not at all. Because let's be real, they don't respect Ohio State. Maybe they're a bunch of fucking cowards and don't say it. But the truth of the matter is, they have absolutely no respect for Ohio State, which is fine. I don't want their respect. Fuck them.
And it's weird for me, Jay, because I have such little respect for them that beating them is almost like, I'm like, you know what? We should beat them. Like,
we always should beat them. We're always better than them. Always.
Take a program like LSU. They're not always great. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're not. But if we go and we beat LSU in an out-of-conference game, I would be like, sweet. Even if LSU was like a 9-3 team that year, I'd still be like, sweet. We beat one of the big boys in the SEC. If we beat USC, it's like, sweet. We beat one of the West Coast powers. When we beat Notre Dame, it's like, yeah, we were supposed to. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I just don't get that pumped up about beating them.
No, I do. I was very pumped up, man. Like beating Notre Dame is like the equivalent of like winning the Super Bowl, which actually I've never experienced, but I can, but anywho, what's really good about this? It's like, you go back and look, like the last, let's keep it like since 2005. Since 2005, when we were playing them, we have beaten their best teams. So that 2005 team of Brady Quinn was really Charlie Weiss's best team. We beat them that year. 10 years later, we played them in the Fiesta Bowl, and they had a loaded roster with Deshaun Kaiser and that one receiver who was like super fast. We beat them then. And then we beat them yesterday because, they were talking to, a lot of people were picking Notre Dame to win that game. And they're like, oh, Notre Dame's got the advantage at quarterback and they're a playoff contender. And we went into their house and we beat them yesterday too. So, Michael, we have beaten every time we played them. It's been like their best teams with their best shots, and we've beaten them every single time.
Yeah. And
fuck you, Notre Dame. Enjoy that. Hope your sick fucking fan base is listening to that.
And who knows when we play them again? And I don't want them in the Big Ten. I don't want them in the Big Ten.
I don't really want them either. Now, you know what? They've snubbed their noses. They look down on the Big Ten. You know what? When these conferences all become super conferences and stuff, and they're left out in the wandering lands, like looking for something, just let them die. Let them wither and die.
Leave them out. They
Michigan
can
and Ohio State will just take over the Midwest.
they can stay out with their arrogance. They can stay independent. They can do whatever they want. I don't want a third team from Indiana. If I'm bringing in a new team, I want fresh blood. I want new recruiting ground. I want a new area.
Miami, bring me Florida State.
Yeah.
Although I think Florida State's on a collision course with the SEC. Same with Clemson, but
Yeah.
maybe Miami. I really want Miami. That would be awesome to like travel down there for games. Even though Miami as a city kind of sucks, it's just nice weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't have anything else, Michael.
All right. Well, I don't either.
Yeah. All right. Again, people, like, subscribe. Fun times. Buckeyes win. Not a great performance, but you know what? We live to fight another day, and we live to fight to get better. So, Michael.
I-O.
Go Bucks, baby. Yep. I-O. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
All right. See you, everybody.
All right, everybody.